Look around the room you're in right now. Go on, actually do it. Because I can almost guarantee that within arm's reach of you, there is something that was never supposed to exist. Something that only got invented because a person, somewhere, made a mistake. They spilled the wrong chemical. They forgot to throw something away. Or they were trying to build something completely different. And they failed. We like to believe that the stuff filling our lives was carefully designed by geniuses following a master plan. But a shocking amount of it wasn't. A shocking amount of it is the result of pure, dumb, beautiful accident. So today, I'm going to show you 7 things you use all the time. Things sitting in your kitchen, your bathroom, and your pocket right now, that only exist because somebody messed up. And by the end, I promise you, are going to look at your own house a little differently. Let's start with number 1, and it's a snack you have almost definitely eaten, the potato chip. Picture a fancy restaurant in New York, back in 1853. A chef named George Crumb is working the kitchen, and he has a customer from hell. This guy keeps sending his fried potatoes back to the kitchen, complaining that they're too thick, too soggy, not crispy enough. Send them back. Too thick. Send them back again. Crumb gets so annoyed that he decides to teach this man a lesson. He slices the potatoes as thin as he possibly can, paper thin, fries them until they're hard and crunchy, and drowns them in salt. Specifically so, they'll be impossible to eat with a fork, and utterly ruined. It was an act of pure spite, and the customer loved them, obsessed over them. Everyone in the restaurant wanted a plate. Crumb had accidentally invented the potato chip out of sheer pettiness, and today it's $1 billion snack, sitting in gas stations all over the planet. Number 2 is probably in your fridge right now, Coca-Cola. In 1886, a pharmacist in Atlanta named John Pemberton was not trying to make the most famous soft drink in human history. He was trying to make medicine. Pemberton had been wounded in the Civil War, and like a lot of people back then, he was chasing a cure, a tonic, a syrup that could fix headaches, calm your nerves, and give you energy. He brewed up a thick, sweet syrup and started selling it at the pharmacy soda fountain as a health drink. And then one day, supposedly, someone mixed that medicinal syrup with carbonated water instead of plain water, by mistake, and realized it tasted incredible. That accident turned a failed headache cure into a drink that now sells nearly 2 billion servings a day. You are drinking a 19th century medicine experiment, and you have no idea. Number 3. And this one might be the best story of them all, the microwave oven. In 1945, an engineer named Percy Spencer was working for a company that built radar equipment for the military. He was standing next to a device called a magnetron, basically a tube that shoots out microwaves, when he noticed something strange. The chocolate bar in his pocket had completely melted into goo. Now, most people would just be annoyed and grab a napkin. But Spencer got curious. He wondered if the invisible waves had done it, so he grabbed some popcorn kernels and held them up to the machine, and they exploded into popcorn, right there on the lab floor. Then he tried an egg, which promptly blew up in a co-worker's face. He had just discovered that radar waves could cook food. 2 years later, that accidental melted chocolate bar became the first microwave oven. And now, there's one sitting in almost every kitchen on Earth. Number 4 is stuck to your shoes, your bags, and your kids' jackets. Velcro. Back in 1941, a Swiss engineer named Georges de Mestral came home from a hunting trip in the mountains and found himself covered in those annoying little burrs, the prickly seed pods that stick to your clothes when you walk through the countryside. His dog was covered in them too. Instead of just picking them off and cursing, he got curious. He put one under a microscope, and what he saw was genius. The burr was covered in hundreds of tiny hooks, and those hooks were grabbing onto the little loops in the fabric of his clothes. That was the whole secret. So de Mestral spent years recreating it artificially, a strip of tiny hooks, a strip of tiny loops, and called it Velcro. A weed stuck to a man's pants became the fastener, holding together everything from sneakers to spacesuits. Number 5 is probably stuck to your desk right now. The Post-it note. In 1968, a scientist named Spencer Silver, working at a company called 3M, was trying to invent a super strong adhesive, a glue so powerful it could hold aircraft parts together. He failed. What he accidentally created was almost the exact opposite, a glue so weak that it could stick to something, peel right off and stick again, without leaving a mark. It seemed completely useless, and for years nobody knew what to do with it. Then a colleague named Art Fry, who sang in a church choir, got frustrated that the little paper bookmarks kept falling out of his hymn book, and he remembered that weak, peelable glue. He put a dab on his bookmarks, and suddenly they stuck exactly where he wanted and came off cleanly. A failed superglue had become the little sticky note now used in every office on the planet. Number 6 is the accident that can hold up a car: superglue. During the Second World War, a scientist named Harry Coover was trying to make clear plastic for gun sights. In the process, he stumbled onto a group of chemicals called cyanoacrylates, and he threw them out because they were a nightmare. They stuck to absolutely everything, instantly and permanently, and ruined all his lab equipment. To him, it was garbage. It took him almost 10 years to realize that sticks to everything instantly and permanently is not a flaw. It's the single most useful glue anyone had ever seen. When it finally hit the market, people were floored. There were famous demonstrations of a single drop lifting an entire car off the ground. The thing he threw in the bin as a failure is now in a drawer in your house right now. Which brings us to number 7. And this one didn't just change your kitchen or your desk. This one is the reason a lot of us are even alive. In 1928, a scientist in London named Alexander Fleming went on vacation and, being a bit messy, left a stack of dirty Petri dishes sitting out in his lab. These dishes were growing colonies of a nasty bacteria. When he came back, one of them had gone moldy. A blob of fungus had drifted in through an open window and contaminated it. Again, most people would just sigh and throw the ruined dish in the sink. But Fleming looked closer, and he saw something incredible. In a ring all around that mold, the deadly bacteria were dead. The mold was killing them. That mold was producing a substance he named penicillin, the world's first true antibiotic. Before that moldy dish, a simple cut or a chest infection could kill you. After it, we could suddenly cure diseases that had wiped out humans for all of history. That one accident, that one dish he forgot to clean, is estimated to have saved over 200 million lives. Possibly yours. Possibly the life of someone you love. And that's the thing that gets me about every single one of these. The accident itself, the melted chocolate, the burr, the moldy dish, the terrible customer. The accident was never the important part. Accidents happen constantly, to everyone, all day long. The magic was that one person, in that one moment, looked at the mess and got curious instead of annoyed. They saw a mistake and thought, wait, what if? The microwave, the medicine, the snack, the glue. None of it exists because someone was smart enough to plan it. It exists because someone was open enough to notice it. So the next time something in your day goes wrong, the next time you spill something, break something, or completely fail at what you were trying to do, just remember that half the world you live in was built out of moments exactly like that one. The failure isn't the end of the story. Sometimes it's the entire beginning. And now you know.